Hey, everybody. It's Allie. And welcome to our Y&R Chat for Sunday, August 21st, 2022. We may have compromised the most moral man in Genoa City. Who said it? Here's a hint. Last name, Newman. Wow. So with a pile of mounting evidence, Chance chooses to turn the blind eye. Which is just what I was hoping he would do. Now he's one of us. One of us. One of us. One of us. Oh. But I appreciate Chance's boldness throughout the investigation. I appreciate him challenging the system and challenging Victor. He gets a gold star badge for that. He sat down at Victor's chess table very boldly. And he said, Victor, you should have had more faith in the system, in the law, in me. Which is both true and not true. I mean, Nick didn't intend to kill Ashland, and Chance has said he would have seen it as a case of self-defense had Victor not stepped in to tidy things up. Would have been a whole lot simpler. But in Victor's defense a little bit, I guess there are also years worth of storylines where a clear-cut case of self-defense was turned into a massive murder trial. So I can kind of see Victor not wanting to leave too much to chance. Oh. And Victor was real subtle in reminding Chance that he would have done the same thing if Abby were in Victoria's situation. Oh, Chance, you remember how you spent that whole year away from your family on an undercover mission? You remember when we all thought you were dead? Well, if Stitch would have done something to harm Abby during that time, wouldn't you have wanted me to protect her too? Huh? Guilt trip, guilt trip. All hypothetical, though, of course. Never admitting guilt, of course. But so, Chance decides that what is best for the family is also what is best for the law, and so he will try to sleep well at night knowing that an innocent family is safe from a mean, mean man, and justice has been served here. Oh, what do you guys think? Was justice served here? Did Chance make a good decision here? What, all things being considered, did he make the right choice? Personally, I'm pleased with this outcome. Because it ends the investigation, and the investigation was starting to lag a lot for me. I mean, maybe it's because I'm not able to muster a ton of sympathy for Ashland, who was already accidentally dead when Victor had his body moved. Or maybe it's just because I knew that the whole worst case scenario for Victor would only ever be a slap on the wrist, and I don't know, I guess I'm just a little bit of a brat in that I can think of better ways to spend the screen time. Now the Newmans can wash their hands of Ashland Locke but I don't know if Chance is going to be able to forget about it that easy. He was brooding pretty hard over that drink when we last saw him on Friday. This has been a huge weight weighing on him, and he didn't seem relieved that it was over. He felt that he had to make a choice, family or duty, and I guess in the end maybe he chose family duty. He had a lot of pressure on him. Even Abby was weighing on him a little bit this week, saying that the investigation was consuming him so much that he missed Dom's first word, or one of Dom's first words. And, I thought that was a little bit unfair of her to bring that up. I mean, I don't know. I kind of liked that Chance didn't immediately go for the guilt trip of it. I liked that Chance wasn't afraid to say, well, wait a minute, there are a lot of really precious moments in a child's life, and I'm sorry that I missed this one, but kids change so fast, and the reality is I'm not going to be able to be there for every single moment that is precious. I mean, I still have a job to do. Parents still have jobs to do. Yeah, it's a lot of competing duties there. And the fact is, Abby did not want him to take the job in the first place. She had a hellish year. I mean, she thought he was dead, and then Mariah was kidnapped with Dominic in utero. And I think that all Abby is really wanting then and now is just some happy family peace. For herself and for everyone else. I also think that Abby was very deeply influenced by the fact that Victoria made a convincing argument to her about the night of Ashland's death. Victoria stuck to the official story, though. She said Ashland was crazy that night. Nick punched him. He went down. We left the house, and I don't know nothing about nothing else. Oh. But Victoria did tell Abby, and she reminded me, that Ashland was being physically aggressive with her that night. Ashland was trying to physically corner her, and it is true that he could have killed her. And he called her the B word. No one gets to call a woman a bitch on this show unless it's another woman, and then it has to be followed by a slap and a bucket of ice over the head, okay? Chance maybe has been spending too much time around Victor's chess board, sitting there at Victor's chess table, because he's starting to adopt Victor's mannerisms. Did you see Chance pointing his finger in Adam's face? That's Victor's move. Disapproving of Adam and pointing his finger aggressively in Adam's face? That's a Victor thing to do. Back off, Chance. That job's already been filled. Oh, yeah, Chance gave Adam a good talking to. I don't know, maybe it was something that Adam needed to hear. You're better than this, Adam Newman. And, Chance seemed to be a little bit successful in maybe making Adam feel ashamed. That doesn't seem like an easy task. I don't think Adam accepts that lightly, but he seemed to be not happy with himself, or like maybe it rang some truth to him. Chance gave Adam the aggressive, disappointing finger about offering to be the middleman in the Victor investigation and the revenge thing on Victor, but also about his treatment of Sally. And it's starting to occur to me this week that are Adam and Sally not gonna get back together? Because I think that I've been in denial about them breaking up. Like, for the past month, I've been thinking that this must only be temporary, and surely they will be getting back together soon. But now I'm thinking, oh, they're really broken up, and they're not getting back together. Maybe. I mean, I don't know. She presented him with that deal last week. Tell me the truth about our breakup, and I will tell you what I know about Ashland's death. But then, as soon as Adam showed up to take that deal, Sally decided that she didn't want it anymore, which ultimately is the correct decision, I think. I think that's the decision that preserves her self-respect. I mean, she said it herself. You know, I shouldn't have to beg and bargain to be treated with some basic decency and honesty here. So, I don't know. I guess it's over. Sally has already had sex with Nick, in my mind. And I'm not even sure how I feel about it. I like the idea of Sally and Nick. There's clearly a bond forming there. But I also think that Phyllis and Nick are a better pair, and I think that Sally and Adam are the better pair. I don't know. I'm wondering if maybe the writers are just always looking for any path back to Adam and Sharon. Maybe so if Nick's moved over to Sally now, then we can have Adam and Sharon. It's like, I think the writers are maybe just determined to put their real life soap opera couple, Mark and Sharon, together in some scenes. Faith is headed off to college soon, so Genoa City is losing one of Sharon's daughters, but gaining a richer relationship between Sharon and her daughter-in-law. Yes, I think this is a really nice connection for Tessa, who doesn't have any other family in town. I liked those scenes a lot. I'm wondering though, okay, well, we're losing Faith to recurring status, presumably. What's happening to Moses? Do we know that? And I have just forgotten. Is he going to college? We saw Faith shopping for her dorm room supplies. Are we going to see Moses doing the same, or some kind of goodbye to the Winters family? Is Moses going to if he's going to college, I assume, is he going to go to the same college as Faith? Is he going to stay in town and do an internship? Do the viewers even care? Does anybody but me even care what's going to happen to Moses? I'm the lone voice over here. What? Hey, what about Moses? I don't know. I guess maybe in the days where Y&R had to try to catch ratings of the bored teenagers who were home on summer break, then it benefited them to have these relatable teen storylines. But I don't know, maybe now that everything has gone to streaming and there's so many choices for everyone and any age and any interest, maybe storylines for adults, about adults, are what the viewers want, and Y&R's responding to that. I don't know. Truthfully, I kind of wonder if teens even want to watch teens. I think one of the things that maybe appealed to me about Y&R as a 13-year-old discovering it was that something about it felt adult. And I think when you're younger, you want to be older. and then when you're older, you want to be younger. That's how that works. I don't know, maybe Moses and Faith were too young. Maybe it was too much of a young love story, and maybe the younger but a little older love story is now going to be replaced with Allie and Noah. Noah this week questioned Victor's role in Ashland's death, and he seemed very, brave, I thought, in just really kind of getting up there and asking the questions of Victor. But then Noah was completely easily satisfied when Victor just said, well, everything I do it for my family. Talk Chatty Cathy doll. We were talking about the Chatty Cathy doll last week. All you have to do is pull Victor's string, and he says like 3 things. Everything I do for my family. I built this company from the ground up, and you got that? We are back at Jabot, baby. Just like the good old days. I love that Jabot hallway with the old perfume bottles on display by the elevator and the rounded walls that frame the scene so nicely. That's a beautiful set. And then we have Jack's office with his nameplate still on the door. We saw Jack kicking back in his chair, talking on the phone, making deals. Oh, it was great. The only thing missing was Gloria at the receptionist's desk. And even though the receptionist's desk and all of that was more of a later addition to the office set, I think it's great. And I think Gloria is what is needed to zazz that up. Although, I don't know, maybe the Phyllis and Diane drama will do the trick. Phyllis signed her contract this week with Marchetti, and everyone is playing nice for now. But Diane is on high alert. She knows that Phyllis is coming for her, and Diane is upping her game too. Oh, hi, Jack. I was just working late at the office. Did you want me to put in a takeout order for you? Are you hungry? Or, well, I mean, I guess I hadn't thought of it, but you could just join me. She offered takeout first, but then pretended that, oh, well, I guess you could just join me. Oh, it's genius. Oh. And then Diane spent like a large chunk of the dinner conversation talking about Phyllis and how she totally understands Phyllis's perspective, you know, but she just wishes that Phyllis didn't see her as a threat. I could see why she would, but I just wish she wouldn't. Just masterful. She went on and on about Phyllis, despite the fact that Jack has told her more than once that he doesn't want to talk about Phyllis with her, but he lets her get away with it. And then yet, if Phyllis wants to talk about Diane, it's a different story. Jack doesn't want to hear any of it. Oh, it's a different story. A different magazine story, maybe. So Nikki decided that she's taking matters into her own hands at this point. She doesn't really trust that Phyllis is going to be able to follow through with this plan. So Nikki scheduled a dinner meeting with a magazine reporter, and the intention is to leak a story about Diane, which will humiliate her and embarrass her, and if all goes well, run her right out of town. Oh. But too bad Summer happened to be dining at the exact same restaurant at the exact same time, trying to have a romantic night with Kyle, but all she could think about was how weird it was that Nikki and Phyllis would be casually having, you know, dinner and drinks and being out together. Oh. Yeah, Summer walked up and confronted them and after the reporter left, and she started asking some questions about who this was, and Nikki just like could not get out of there fast enough. She totally left Phyllis to deal with that firing squad of one. I think it's pretty obvious. We all can see that this is going to blow up in Phyllis's face, and Nikki and Ashley aren't going to be there to help her. Diane isn't being tolerated by the important people around her. Diane is actually liked at this point by the people around her, maybe even loved by everyone around her at this point. Diane went back to Jack's house after the dinner, and he offered her a nightcap, and she slipped out of her head into this delicious little fantasy where Jack was admitting his feelings for her, and she was just blushing like a schoolgirl, almost couldn't handle it, didn't want to. Oh no, Jack, no! I just couldn't. But I wanted to, but I just can't. But I want to, but I can't. Oh, it was a good trick. I mean, sometimes these little fantasies, we end up feeling kind of tricked by it all, but I think this was really well placed because for the viewers who are like Jack and Diane, we got to see the kiss, but the people who don't like Jack and Diane have the satisfaction of knowing it wasn't real. It was all in Diane's head. I am personally a big fan of Jack and Diane, a genuine fan of Jack and Diane at this point. I think they have way more chemistry than Jack and Phyllis, especially at this point, and I think that Y&R's decision to bring Diane back in this way and in Jack's orbit has been the best move of the year. Jack and Phyllis have had and do have and should have a very special relationship. But for me, the romantic part of it is definitely more for a certain time and a certain place. There was a point where I loved Jack and Phyllis. But now I think it's over. I think it's run its course. Jack and Phyllis tried rekindling their romance. It didn't work. And frankly, I think that Jack and Diane's fantasy kiss had way more chemistry than anything that Jack and Phyllis were able to muster up in the couple of months that they were trying to get back together. For me, Jack and Diane are perfect. The only acceptable guy for Phyllis, in my mind, though, is Nick. So, I don't know. I'd like to ultimately see Phyllis get back together with Nick, but I also enjoy seeing Phyllis presenting a challenge for the pageant queen, Miss America, Diane Jenkins. Oh, and what do you want out of life, Miss Jenkins? Oh, well, I want the same thing everyone wants. Health, happiness, and peace. Thank you. Hand this woman the crown. This is the week of couples drifting apart, it seems. We've got Abby and Chance, Billy and Lily, Elena and Nate, Devon and Amanda, although I guess technically Devon and Amanda aren't having relationship problems, but this week is the second time we saw, in 2 weeks, Devon having a heart-to-heart with Abby, and then he also had this really tender scene with Elena, where Elena was admitting that she and Nate are not on the same page. So it almost looks like Devon is being set up subtly into some maybe possible new fallback romances. Because where the heck is Michelle Morgan right now? Is she on vacation, or is she in contract negotiations or something? I've heard some rumors, but nothing's been confirmed, so I don't want to fuel anything by talking about it. But she's gone, and I don't get why. Well, Amanda is missing, but Lily is back, and I love Lily this week. She is making moves, giving us the drama this week. Devon was complaining to Lily about the situation with Nate, saying, well, maybe I shouldn't have taken your suggestion in hiring him in the first place. Wah, Devon. I mean, that's super rude to put your personnel problem off onto her just because she suggested it. Ugh. But Lily decided to dig deeper. She's a peacekeeper. She wants to bring the family and the business together. That's her job. So she scheduled a meeting with Nate, and she asked him to be honest about what his perception of the problem was between he and Devon. And Nate was honest and true to what his feelings are, which is that he thinks that Devon always wants to be the undisputed person in charge, that Devon is not looking for any kind of cooperative working relationship. And Nate says, sometimes I feel like Devon shuts down my ideas just because they're mine. So Lily put that to the test. She took some of Nate's ideas, pitched them to Devon, and Devon loved them. He was really open in a way that maybe sometimes he is not open to Nate because he does not have the same sibling relationship and years of trust built up with Nate that he does with Lily. But after Devon agrees to explore the ideas, Lily said, "Great. Well, they're Nate's ideas. What do you think about them now?" Devon did not appreciate being tricked into the realization that he might be wrong or that Lily was doubting him. So he hit the roof, just like he did on the night that he found out that Nate and Elena had an affair. Just like that night, Devon went from 0 to 60, hardly asking any questions, hardly listening to any explanations. Lily told Devon that, okay, I'm sorry, but this was all my idea. She said, I asked to talk to Nate, and I asked him to be honest. But Devon still barreled out of her office, confronted Nate like it was Nate's fault that Lily did this. And, of course, it escalated. Just like the night that Devon found out about Nate and Elena's affair. Only this time, Nate was on guard. Nate had seen this before, and he just like leaned back and said, "Look at you, Devon, getting all worked up. What are you gonna do? Punch me again?" Oh, that was so good. So good. And about time. I'm so glad that Y&R decided to fully incorporate, well, I mean, Devon's subconscious resentment of Nate for the affair with Elena, and Nate's subconscious resentment about the loss of his career due to the injury. I mean, that's a big part of Nate's character and motivation, and maybe he would not have made this career change if he were still able to perform surgery with his hand. He seems to be doing okay, though. Otherwise. But then again, I'm biased. I mean, that's the thing. I'm biased. It's hard for me to not side with my hunk of burning love, Nate. But I love the conflict. I love that the conflict is there. And I thought that a fun poll question for this week would be to ask you guys to throw down and choose a side. Devon or Nate? Who do you side with? Don't give me, I kind of get both perspectives, because you can only choose one. If you have to lean one way or the other, even if you get it both perspectives, if you have to lean one way or the other, go to yrchat.com and tell me which way you lean. I'm gonna choose. You know who my vote is going to. Even though I love both Devon and Nate, I feel like Nate, no, it's like Devon is like this cool, smooth glass of milk, and Nate is like hot sauce, burning up my insides. And so I need to have them both. I need to have the cool glass of milk in Devon to help balance out the hot, fiery stuff on the inside that Nate does to me. Well, you just look at Chelsea. making a big old popcorn mess all over Billy's tiny little podcast studio. No, I would have kicked her right out of there if she was dropping popcorn all over the floor in my podcast closet. No. She was irritating. Oh, well, I mean, what's Chelsea's end game here? That's the question. Does she want to be maybe a blended family with Billy, Victoria, Johnny, and Connor? Is that what she's looking for? She's been fluffing up Billy for weeks now. She tried fluffing up Victoria a little bit this week, and she even seemed to be fluffing up Billy and Victoria and their relationship together this week, telling Billy that he always had a good connection with Victoria. I don't know, was Chelsea just trying to be a good, intuitive podcast reporter digging deep on the issues? Or is this a sign that Y&R is heading back to a Billy and Victoria romance? Or, I don't know, all the couples seem up in the air. Is Y&R testing Victoria and Nate for a romance? Because Victoria was chatting it up with Nate this week, and not just about Ashland. They were talking about the family business dynamics, and she seemed almost to be positioning herself to hire Nate the way she wanted to before he chose to work at Chancellor Winters, the family business, instead. I don't know. I think Victoria and Nate working together, I mean, that could be a path to love. I'm sure that Nate could loosen her up a lot. She might need it. But back to Chelsea. She is either intentionally or unintentionally fueling the rift between Billy and Lily. And I think I'll go ahead and give her the benefit of the doubt and say she's probably not doing it on purpose. I mean, I think maybe Chelsea might just be trying to secure her own position in Billy's life, wanting to make sure that she's the co-host, wanting to make sure that she's the co-kinda parent, right? I guess we'll just have to see how all that turns out. Victoria hasn't made any final decisions on the Johnny issue, but surprisingly, Nikki seemed to be in support of it. She even told Victor that he should realize how important it is for a child to know his or her mother. Wow. Way to have an opinion, Nikki. Billy told Chelsea that he would talk it over with Victoria, but it doesn't seem like a priority for Billy. Billy seemed far more worried about his relationship with Lily and his working relationship with Lily. It's kind of both. They're interconnected in a lot of ways. Lily implied that she's tired of him putting so much energy and focus into the podcast with Chelsea and then missing important things and meetings at the company, and also being oblivious to the tension that's going on between Devon and Nate, and just in general not really helping out in the C-suite, so they call it. That he could be doing more help in the C-suite. And Billy's takeaway from their conversation is that he thinks he might need to choose one or the other. He either needs to choose podcasts or corporate job. I don't know that there's anyone out there who would not choose the podcast. Like, I can go and put on a tie and go to an office and bust my butt at a desk for 12 hours a day, or I could just sit at home in my comfy pants talking into a microphone. Tough choice. I don't know, but maybe Chelsea's just right. Maybe Billy is not a good fit for corporate life. And I don't know, I think that Chelsea is suggesting that because she wants to have Billy more to herself. I think Chelsea's lonely and misunderstood and wants to have Billy someone who understands her around more often. And I think maybe Lily and the corporate job are an obstacle to that in Chelsea's mind. I don't know. I don't know if she really wants a hookup. But if they do hook up, I don't know where that would leave Lily. I was kind of wondering this week if maybe Y&R would possibly bring back Kane for Lily. I don't know. Making my dreams come true. I mean, what would you guys think of that? What would you think of Y&R bringing Kane back for a reunion with Lily? Are you totally over it, or would you like that? What do you think? What do I think? How would I handle it? How could I handle Nate and Kane being on the show at the same time? I might combust. What would really be good is if Nate and Kane hated each other, and then I was forced to pick a side. Oh, Lord, don't do it, Y&R. Please leave Billy and Lily together so that I don't have to break either Kane or Nate's heart. Oh, if you don't laugh, you cry. That was our Who Said It quote from last week. This was a little bit of a tricky one because Chelsea actually had a similar line that she said this week, but this Who Said It quote came out last Sunday, and the quote is, "If you don't laugh, you cry." It was Mariah who said it last week. She was talking about her having a sense of humor about Tessa losing her voice and everything. She said, if you don't laugh, you cry. So quite a few of you guys got that right. Congratulations, Michelle, Daisy, Henry, Tanya, Brittany, Juanita, Ron, Sherry, Diana, and Sherrod. You guys all caught it. Catch this. If you plan too much for the future, you don't have a chance to dream. That's nice. Who said it? If you plan too much for the future, you don't have a chance to dream. If you think you know, go to yrchat.com to leave your guess. And if you get it right, I will give you your shout out during next week's Y&R Chat. Let's take a look at your comments, starting with Gary, who says, did Y&R get rid of the no crime Ashland lock murder case to better focus on the continuing neuroses of Billy? Yeah, right. We are losing the Ashland Lock murder, not murder, no crime case. And now Billy's got the, which job do I want to take? I've got all these podcasts and all these corporate jobs tasks that I have to do. Which is more exciting to you? Well, Naomi says, oh, wow, I assumed the small box for Lily was jewelry. And she said she might need his help putting the gift on. Then it's a $30 pair of earbuds. What a disappointment. And goes to show how clueless and self-centered Billy is. I'm sure the earbuds are a hint for Lily to start listening to his podcast. She was hoping for something more personal and with some sparkle to it. Billy needs to kick himself to the curb so Lily won't have to. Oh yeah, that was a pretty cringy moment. He did give her a piece of jewelry a couple of weeks ago. So she was just she had expectations that it was going to be more jewelry. But she had said that her earbuds were bad or something, and so he went out and got her a new one. So I understand there was a thought process in his head about it, but it does come off as completely self-serving about him and his podcast. She just doesn't listen enough. I mean, she lives with the man, she works with the man, and he wants her to still be listening to him yakking in her spare time? Please. There's only so much you can take of anyone, no matter how much you love them. Oh, this is good. About those previews for next week. Victoria says, Chloe, who appointed you the romance police? In the previews for next week, you're chastising Chelsea over her attraction to Billy. Now that you're happily married, do you think you know it all? When Chelsea was working through her feelings for Adam, you told her how she should feel. Now you're informing Sally of all her mistakes. Chloe, it's time for you to keep your opinions to yourself unless you're asked. Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's making Chloe's character become really one note. I don't know. I think that Elizabeth Heinrichsen is really good, and I think she is better than the harpy material that she is getting. I think she deserves a storyline of her own, and if she and Kevin can't be around at the same time, then I think we should just break them up. I mean, Chloe and Kevin are cute, but they're no Michael and Lauren, where the viewers can tolerate them never being around together at the same time. Or I don't know, maybe Chloe and Kevin have some die-hard fans. Maybe. Speaking of Kevin, though, what is up with next week? Kevin is banging on Adam's door in those previews. I have no idea what that could be about if the investigation is over. Unless maybe Chance is deciding to let the investigation go, but Kevin is deciding he wants to move forward with it and he's going to Adam for help? Oh, they were pretty tense a couple weeks ago, so I sort of doubt it. Well, let's talk about Ashland Locke. Gary says, I am so tired of people saying what a bad man Ashland Locke was, and the more they say it, the more I'm going to say that he was a saint. You just keep on going with it, Gary. Ellen says, well, just because they keep repeating it, it doesn't make it true. Ashland was ready to go all in and start fresh in New York City with Victoria. His feelings were sincere. She couldn't forgive him, so she stripped him of everything he had instead of just divorcing him. And now he's dead. But Princess Victoria really thinks she is the victim. You guys, can't it all be true? I mean, just because Victoria was a jerk doesn't mean that Ashland wasn't a jerk. Can't Ashland be a jerk and Victoria can be a jerk and Victor can be a jerk? It can all be true. We don't have to choose. I think when you get right down to it, they're all jerks here. I just don't think just because Victoria was a jerk doesn't make Ashland a saint. Sue W. says, well, perception is subjective and perception is reality, as the quote goes. If Victoria perceived Ashland to be truly threatening, then for her, he was. If she perceived the opposite, then she would be lying to portray him otherwise. Only Victoria knows how she felt on the night in question. Were there indications then that Victoria would come to feel Ashland was threatening? Or were there indications that she did? My opinion on how she should have felt is really immaterial, as is what did or didn't happen leading up to it. Victoria's perception is her reality. Yeah, and then we're all perceiving it, right? From all of our own life experiences and viewings of the scene. I had to go back and watch that scene like probably 5 times to get just the right screen cap of it. And I can tell you, my opinion, my perception of it is I think Ashland was being threatening. And I think that Victoria was in real physical danger. Will we ever know that for sure? No, but he was physically cornering her, and that's not cool. I'm glad that Nick was there to stop it. I mean, did Ashland deserve to die? No, it was an accident. But Victor's the one who couldn't leave it alone. I'm just glad that the investigation is over. I've been quietly suffering through it for a couple of weeks now, and I'd just like to move on. But is it really over? Kamna says, that final scene with Chance, let's hope our sexy cop is playing the long game. Oh, so you think that Chance is not going to let it go and he was just paying lip service to the Newmans there? Oh, man. I don't know. I just want something else. It's just not exciting to me. It wasn't a murder, and there wasn't any, I don't know. It's been a little blah, 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 blah. And they got rid of Ashland really, really quick, and I just don't think it's been all that riveting. But I agree with Diana about this part. Diana says, I am very pleased that Chance is getting a lot more airtime than he has in the past. I always enjoy seeing him on my screen. I really like his character, and he's obviously very easy on the eyes, which doesn't hurt either. I hope we continue to give Chance a story now that it looks like the Ashland Locke case may be coming to a close. As Daisy mentioned last week, maybe Ashland is being held up somewhere. I would not be surprised, as that theory would allow for his character to return. I'd like to see some turmoil down the road for Abby and Chance, where Chance maybe starts to develop feelings for someone other than his wife. Oh, yeah. I mean, well, first of all, I think that the really one good thing that has come out of the investigation for me has been more Chance. I've really enjoyed getting to see him on screen and see what he brings. And there's a lot of intensity there. I think, is this Tina says, is it me or was there a little spark of chemistry between Sally and Chance? Happy to see that Sally stood her ground, holding Adam accountable for the despicable way he has treated her and not giving him one bit of info. Oh, so Sally and Chance. Yeah, I mean, that was a good scene too. I think someone else mentioned that Sally just seems to have a little bit of spark with anybody and everybody. I kind of want Abby and Chance to be happy, though. I guess they've had so much trouble. I kind of want to see them goo-goo and gagaing over each other for a little bit longer before we bust them up. I mean, it's got to be done eventually, but I do like Abby and Chance. Oh, well, let's talk about our poll from last week. Should Billy and Victoria support a relationship between Chelsea and Johnny? 68% of you, the majority, say yes. It's time. Billy and Victoria need to do this. Only 32% of you saying no. Marianne V voted yes, saying, I think Chelsea should have supervised contact with Johnny, but should be up to Billy and Victoria if Johnny should be told that Chelsea is his bio mom. Yeah, ultimately, I think the decision's definitely up to Billy and Victoria, and we'll see what they choose. I have a feeling they're going to say yes, although there's more drama if they say no. Ellen says, everyone is so worried about the adults' feelings and preferences. Johnny matters. Victoria is his mother, but he also has a biological connection to Chelsea. A therapist should be consulted to discuss if it's developmentally appropriate to let him know that now. Lies are never a good thing. In addition, Connor is a half-brother to Johnny and Christian. These children are missing out on knowing their bio parents and half-brothers. It's all about selfishness on the adults' part, as both Chelsea and Adam have been portrayed as very good parents. Victoria and Nick just don't want to let him in. They will pay for that when Johnny and Christian find out the truth later in life. You know what I think? What a great point that it's up to a therapist to help contribute to the decision of whether or not the child's developmentally ready to handle that information. I think that's a really good point. Maybe that's something that Sharon could be brought in on. I think the viewers maybe could stand to see some Johnny and Connor and Christian. I mean, we haven't seen Christian in forever. I think we've seen Johnny not that long ago, maybe, but Christian forever ago. I think maybe the viewers could see the kids, because I'd like to get a sense of how old they are now, with the Sorazing. How old are they? What's the status? Let's see some kids. Let the viewers connect in with the kids, too, as we make this decision right along with Billy and Victoria. Naomi says, this storyline has a treasure trove of possibilities. I voted yes. Let's get started. For one thing, Johnny isn't Victor's biological grandson, so Victor could gradually start favoring Connor. But Victoria is preferred over Adam, so Connor could always be second best because Victoria is raising Johnny. If Johnny's a bright kid, we can only imagine how savvy he will be with Chelsea's influence. And if the writers age Dom to be early teen when these boys are late teens, it would be great to have the cousins all building relationships. Although I'm getting confused just trying to get all that sorted out. Yeah, we got a lot of boys though, don't we? I think we need some girls of that age range to at least boost future stories for the future stories. We have Katie is the only girl of that age range, right? Is there anybody else I'm missing? No. We'd have some babies too. Oh, we haven't had any babies this year. We got babied out last year, but maybe we need to have a baby this year. Maybe Diane could have Jack's baby. Diana says, the dream sequence between Jack and Diane gave me what I was craving. It really had me fooled. I thought for sure this was actually taking place. I thought Y&R did a great job of building up the intensity and excitement of Diane feeling like her dreams were finally coming true. I was very much in the moment for the entire scene and was very intrigued by their conversation and emotions during their nightcap. I thought it was strange that Diane would pull her hand away from Jack's, but now it makes a little more sense knowing that it was only a dream. Susan Walters is an excellent actress who really draws you in and makes the scenes feel relatable and realistic. Yeah, the moment where she pulls her hands away. That was so good. Yes, I agree. I was totally right there in the moment. Really, really enjoyed that. Daisy says, I now hope that Diane and Jack get back together, not because they belong together, but because their wedding would be epic. Diane and Nikki fighting, accidentally throwing cake on Jill. Jack, disgusted with the fight, turns to a sympathetic ear, Phyllis, who's happy to help Jack with a needed distraction in the coat room. It would be such a great wedding. And their relationship would be interesting, especially when reality sets in and they wonder if they can really make it this time. Well, Jack would think that. Diane would dismiss any signs that they made a mistake. It's the story with Diane and Jack is so similar to Jack and Phyllis in that Jack always wanted Diane. Diane always wanted someone else. Diane wanted Victor or something, anything else. I mean, Kyle wasn't even supposed to be Jack's kid. Diane wanted Victor's sperm and kind of got stuck with Jack. So Jack was kind of second place to Diane. And in a lot of ways, after Phyllis met Nick, I think Jack was second place with Phyllis too. So I'd love for this to be the love of Jack's life. I would love for this to just settle into Grandma, Grandpa, Jack from now on. With, as Daisy says, a big, splashy, crazy wedding. That would be fun. Well, Jamie says, Devon is behaving like a total jackass. Nate needs to bounce on over to Newman Media and reclaim his place as the host of Ask MD Now. And slide into an executive position, something cool like creative director. Yeah, I like Nate's swag. He is very creative and he could do some directing. Yes, this is a good idea. Ron says all of this with Devon and Nate comes back to the affair with Elena. The show never really dealt with it, and it's all coming to surface now. So much unresolved resentment. Yep, exactly. It was the affair. I mean, Nate and Elena had the affair. Devon just flew off the handle, punched Nate. That's how the hand thing happened. But you're right. The affair, the shadowy post-COVID affair that they had on the hospital bed in the little clinic, that's what started it all. But it does seem like every, a couple times a year, Y&R just decides to shake up all the couples, and it really feels like that's where we're headed now. T. Nicole says, I have so many romantic pairing questions. Do we think that Devon will get with Elena or Abby next? I was thinking Elena when Nate goes too far with Imani. If Abby gets with Devon, then who will Elena end up with? And if Elena goes back to Devon, then will they keep Abby and Chance together? Sally has Nick, Adam, and possibly Chance as a romantic. Sally has Nick, Adam, and possibly Chance as a romantic partner. And then who's Sharon going to be with? Will Victoria stay single? If Billy and Lily break up because of Chelsea, then who's Lily's next guy? Y&R has me guessing on the next romantic relationships. It's like spin the wheel to see who gets to couple up next, and then another wheel if the couple gets office, sofa, or bedroom sex. Oh my gosh, I love this idea, T. Nicole. They need to have one of these wheels in the writer's room. Wheel of Sex Fortune! Whew, I'm tired. That was a lot. That was a lot to read. There was a lot going on there with those couples. With all the kids and who their parents are and all the couples and who they might be hooking up with. Gee, everything's up in the air. Gotta catch your breath. Well, that's where I sit back and I just relax, and now I hand the floor over to you. Go to yrchat.com to leave your comments about, well, last week or next week if you want to also chat while the show is airing throughout the week. Now, next Sunday, I'm just going to be doing a quickie audio chat because I'm going to a picnic. I really want to go. I haven't been to like an outdoor picnic in a while. But if it rains, then I suppose I will do. If it rains and it gets canceled, then I'll do a full Y&R chat. But I'm planning on going, and so it might just be, will most likely just be just an audio only chat for me next week. And y'all can just imagine me on a red and white picnic table with the tablecloth over it, and maybe eating a hot dog with a trail of ants leading to it. That's what says picnic to me. All right. Well, everybody, I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. I love you guys so much, and you'll hear from me next Sunday.